Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the North East Non-League Show, sponsored by our guest, DJ Private Hire, Gateway Accountancy Services Limited, Elite Goalkeeping Academy, Motivate, and Danny Lay Plumbing and Heating. Tonight is our Northern League preview show, looking towards the season. And our guest tonight is our very own sponsor, Dom Jones. Dom, thank you very much for coming on the show tonight.
Thanks very much for having us.
See, a lot to chat about the season, just a week and a half away. So we're going to go over Division 1, Division 2, and obviously chatting to Dom about Easington as well. But starting in Division 1, the new sides that's coming in or being moved across the division, start with Blythetown, Easington Blue Star via promotion. Kendal Town moved across, obviously Mars dropped into that division as well. I mean, what's your thoughts on the 5 new sides going to division?
Obviously, Marsk and Kendal are a bit of an unknown. Kendal look to be having a good pre-season so far. They've had some strong results with teams that they've come up against, so I think they're probably kind of an unknown, but one to watch with the form that they're having at the moment. But you don't really know what other teams are doing in pre-season, whether they're putting strong teams out and stuff like that. Marsk obviously have recruited quite well. Whether they can kind of get going straight away is another thing. Obviously, Blythe and Blue Star will be really competitive. Know that firsthand, kind of as we've come up against them and watching them a little bit last season. Both teams have again recruited quite well in the pre-season, and obviously ourselves chucked in the mix as well.
Yeah, I think if you look at them 3 sides, but when I look at it, the 3 sides that come up, and you normally see them come up and kind of struggle, where I think the 3 sides that could have easily held their own and go, and I think you might see a couple even chasing for the title come the end of the season as well. And I agree with the Kendal one. I think we've been chatting about kind of with that team. I think they're going to be the midweekers, and I think a lot of sides when they're going down to play on Saturday, it's going to be the jolly boy out and take the minibus down, getting as many fans down as you can. But I think it's going to be the midweekers. When they're coming to play teams, it's going to kill them, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously, the kind of the travel that Carlisle had to do and Penrith as well. I think you kind of saw some results midweek that kind of didn't reflect how the rest of the season went. Some teams travel well, some teams don't. So, you know, there might be a team that travel well during the week. They might have stuff already in place, kind of in anticipation of coming into the league, where, you know, lads get shifts sorted out and work covered and stuff like that. So I think it's time will tell, and we'll just see how they do. Pretty sure we've got them quite early on, luckily on a Saturday, so. Yeah, probably is the biggest interesting one in the new league.
Yeah, and hopefully, fingers crossed, the weather gets better, because I think if there's a lot of rain, I mean, it's bad up here, but down the lakes, it's even worse, isn't it? I can see plenty of games called up there if we have the last season's weather.
Definitely. Hopefully, we have a bit of a better season weather-wise than what we did last year. It was a nightmare, wasn't it? Really?
Oh, nightmare. But getting on to challenges, and I think a couple of names are going to come back up again, who we just mentioned there. But I think looking at the group and looking at the forums and stuff, obviously, you look at the money that Redgate Athletics putting in, obviously the big spenders. I mean, looking at the early signs of the transfers that's been coming in, the big news around the leagues, who do you kind of fancy being up there come the end of the season, Division 1?
I think obviously Redgate will probably be everybody's obvious choice in terms of the figures being chucked about and the signings that they've made. They've obviously recruited quite a few from Bishops, so the players that they've signed are already league winners. So you know that they won't be wanting to go to Redgate and not winning the league again. So I think they'll obviously be there or thereabouts. You've got West Auckland, who were in the playoffs, won the Durham Challenge Cup. I think they'll be thereabouts. Sheldon was strong last year. Burtley, and kind of a dark horse for me. And Ollie's already said that I'm a bit crackers, but I think Penrith will probably be there or thereabouts. They were quite a strong team, especially on the 4G at home. Once they got onto that surface, they played really well and got some good results against the likes of Heaton who got promoted. So I think they'll be kind of in the mix. Gisborough always kind of do well as well. So I think kind of your teams who did well last season will do well again this season. But I think there might be one or two kind of late runs for the playoffs and a couple of maybe surprises or upsets as well.
Yeah, I think looking at the challenges, and I mean the next question as well, playoffs. I mean, I'm looking at the league Division 1 table now, and like you say, you've got the likes of Berkeley who's been up there. Borough Rangers, another strong side as well. But you look at Blythe, I mean, how organised they were last season. I mean, I know Gav, obviously, he was going out watching games every single night, watching players and stuff like that. And the amount of commitment that they all put into that club going forward, I can imagine them being up there. You've got the likes of, obviously, Blue Star. I would expect them to be kind of challenging up there with the money as well. And like say, Shildon, very unlucky last season. West Auckland, Wigan, Whitley Bay. There's some really strong sides, and we'll get Division 2 later, which looks well open this season. But it could be the same for Division 1, isn't it? You just need that good run of form sometimes. A few teams to slip up, and I think it could be throughout the season a lot of changes at the top and then playoff positions. Do you think?
Yeah, I think probably kind of the weather took a big part of it last season. Yeah. Obviously, stop start, so momentum was kind of hard for everybody to gather. Didn't matter what league you were playing in, whether it was 1, 2, or Wearside or above. So I think it's kind of how that's going to pan out and how teams adapt to how the season going. I think it'll be different if it's a continuation of games. Other teams will probably continue with momentum better than others. Some teams might like last season. It could be like the stop start benefits them. So I think that could be something that affects it more than what people think this year. In terms of the weather, if it's straightforward games every week, it could be a couple of different teams in the mix. But yeah, all the teams that you mentioned there will be there or thereabouts. I think it was quite tight, wasn't it, at the back end of the season? Who was kind of going to get the last couple of places in the playoffs in both divisions, to be fair. So it's one of them. I think the big hitters will be there. They've got to be. And then everybody else kind of, it's just a little bit of luck, and whoever performs well through the season and see how people's recruitments went as well. I think that'll play a big part.
Definitely. I think a lot of people now look at it just being the league, but then obviously 4 weeks into the season, you've got the Vars, the FA Cup, and some sides really put a lot of effort into that to go as far as they can. And you're seeing last season with Wigan, the amount of games that they catch up on, didn't finish the season as well. But it's just what the teams are looking at. Of obviously, do they want to push on the league or do they want a good cup run? And it's kind of hard to have both now because of how competitive the league is, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think the League Cups were cancelled were on the last season as well. So I'm not sure whether them are coming back in. So that's just more games. So it's really important to kind of keep your squad together. In terms of everybody, not everybody can be happy with minutes played, but I think that'll take a bigger part this season what I did last season with you. If the weather stays right and stuff doesn't get cancelled with the amount of games that there'll be, like you say, FA Vars, FA Cup, League Cups, Durham Challenge Cup. It's a lot of games, a lot of fixtures, so it's just really important to keep kind of a squad happy and a squad together.
Yeah, even Cameron just saying hello, Dom, from Cameron there. Any comments as well? Like say, get them in. Who are you following this season? Any thoughts on your side? How you will do? Get them in as well. We'll love to get the comments read out. And you kind of look at the league table, which I've got in front of us here now, and you kind of think could there be 1 or 2 teams that may struggle, but you haven't really heard anything over obviously the summer where teams are kind of struggling, they kind of put a side out, there's no budget. And I think this season it'll be kind of nice going towards the last 3 or 4 weeks, and obviously from us watching on, but I think it'll be really close down the bottom where there might be kind of 6 or 7 teams in that area rather than just 1 or 2, do you think?
There always seems to be, doesn't there? Some teams, it all depends how teams start and kind of how the season goes. But it's one of them where you could have the teams at the bottom could well surprise people. Some teams can recruit really well and kind of get together over a season, especially if they've retained most of the squad and you've got something to work with, like a base of a squad. obviously I know you had the two lads from West End on last night. That's kind of what they were saying. They've retained most of the players, and hopefully, they kick on from that. It's no different in Northern League One, is it? I think recruitment's important for some teams in pre-season. So there's always a couple of teams who kind of struggle, but I don't think it's kind of necessarily the teams that struggled last year will struggle this year.
Yeah.
I think it just all depends on how well they've recruited pre-season and kind of what work they've been doing as well. Every team will have a different kind of training schedule and different ways of doing things. So time will tell, I suppose.
Definitely. Now, next question from Cameron, which ties in nicely what we're going to get up to next as well. So a little bit obviously about yourself, Ethan, as well. Going back to last season, obviously before the Eastern, like I say, last year, youngest manager of the league, how did it all come around and how did you find it, obviously at that age, just being chucked in at the deep end?
So I was manager at the reserves squad at RCA in the Wearside, and partway through the season, the club decided to part ways with a manager. Kind of results and stuff like that weren't kind of going their way, and the club offered us the opportunity. They wanted to kind of get something in place quite quick, and kind of recruiting within the club is the way that they wanted to go. It was tough, really tough, especially at the beginning. Kind of the squad at that point were falling away. Had been for maybe one or two games before that, kind of players wanting to move on and stuff like that. So when I kind of took over as manager, interim manager, the most important thing was kind of trying to retain the players that we already had. And I think we had 7, 8, 9 players who were committed to that from the first team already there. And then we had to kind of go out and try and recruit our own players within the league, from Northern League 2, and a few of the lads who I had at the reserves who I could kind of rely on and trust to at least give us 100% every game, kind of give them the opportunity and the platform to step up into Northern League 1, which from kind of Wearside 2 to Northern League 1 was a massive jump for them. But, those lads never let us down and give us 100% and was with us up until kind of the last game that I was there at North Shields. But yeah, it was really tough. But what I will say is that kind of the managers that I came across who followed the club for whatever reason. Obviously, I think all managers kind of follow each other, don't they, in clubs. We're really like kind of encouraging and supportive. Really, really good to kind of have a manager come up to you before a game and after a game who you just played against and kind of give you that bit of encouragement and reassurance of just kind of work hard and keep doing what you're doing kind of thing. So that was always good, especially when you rival clubs and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, it's cutthroat. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was a tough experience, really tough. I don't think it's no secret that the club had struggled financially, kind of towards the season, back end of the season before. And at the time when I took over, so we didn't have much to play with, but it was my aims, and I had the support of Wilkie, who was the under-18s manager at the time, and Mark Hopkinson, and then Ben came in as well. Our aim was kind of just to steady the ship and bring results back under control within reasonable results, what you would say in Northern League, and we give it our best shot in it. And we did achieve what we wanted to achieve in the sense of steadying the ship and Lads kind of playing for the shirt and playing for the club, playing for the badge, which was the most important things for us. And we had a good dressing room and a good club culture. A very, very young squad though, which is kind of what let us down. The experience, I think we were turning out an average age of maybe 20, 21 at the time, which, in Northern League One, where it's tough and you've got a lot of experience, good players, balanced off with young, good players. It was tough, but very, very rewarding and kind of personally for me, like a lot of lessons learned about one, how tough it is to manage, especially at the age that I am, with not very many Northern League connections as such, which I think is probably the most important thing as a manager in Northern League, is to kind of have good player connections. But it was rewarding in some sense of, lads playing for you, and we got half decent crowds, people turning up to watch RCA again, which is what it's about. So yeah, it was a good experience, tough experience, challenging, but I learned a lot from it.
Yeah, I can imagine as well. Obviously, it's still with the young age as well, and obviously the years that's in front now. It shows you how football changes so quick. I mean, going from RCA to then Easton. I mean, the promotion obviously last season, that United Blue Star. I mean, how quickly did it turn, and how good was that United Blue Star?
Oh, it was a bit of a roller coaster season for me emotionally. To be fair, being bottom of the league in League One and then promoted with Easton, supporting Ollie and Batesy. At Easton, the night itself was one of the nights I'll probably remember in terms of football for a long time. Playing at a great pitch, a great ground in front of that many people. The lads were brilliant. It was a great experience. A tough night, tough opposition, a tough crowd. But yeah, it was a night to remember, to say the least.
And obviously pre-season. How's that all gone with the pre-season training the game so far?
Yeah, it's been a real eye opener, to be fair, for me. In terms of kind of my own methods, it was at the reserves and teams before that, and seeing how kind of Ollie and Batesy do it at Easton. It's been a really good learning experience, and personally, lads have been great, been really committed. Obviously, you get holidays this time of year, but numbers have been really good for us. And now we're into kind of the late stages of the game. We've got Horn tomorrow night as our last game in terms of pre-season friendlies. But yeah, it's been good.
Excellent. Paul's mentioned there, Paul, one of the good guys in football. Dom, good to see him enjoying his football again. Great setup at Easton. Worked very hard RCA, given very difficult circumstances off the pitch as well. Nice message from Paul. Thanks for watching, Paul, as well. I mean, looking at next season, obviously just new Division 1. I mean, what's your hopes? I know you don't want to give away too much on the show, but what's your kind of hopes for next season?
A newly promoted club. I think the aim of any club is, once you've been promoted, it doesn't matter what league you're at, is to kind of cement yourself into the league and see what happens. But we go out with the same mentality as what we did in Division 2, is we go out to win every game. We don't go out and just be kind of passengers. One of the messages that we've been saying kind of this pre-season to the lads is that we're not there to survive, we're there to thrive, and that's the message from Ollie and all of the management team so far. So we want to be as competitive as possible, the same as everybody else in the league. So hopefully it's another good season for us.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Like you say, good lads at Easton. Like you say, I've watched them a couple of times down the pub last season as well. Fantastic setup, and I think, like you say, you'll do very well next season as well. Before we get to Division 2, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that's watching. Double figures again, same again as last night, so thank you so much. Please hit that subscribe button as well, if you can. And getting on to Division 2, and I know we've had obviously the West End show last night, we had the Billingham-Synthonia one the week before, and even speaking to some managers or messengers over the last couple of days. For Division 2, I think looking at the teams in that, I'm looking at the table now, for me personally, this was the most open that Division 2 has been in quite a long time. I mean, what's your thoughts on Division 2 this year?
Yeah, I think you're spot on there, to be fair. It's very open. I think some of the teams that were in the playoffs and in and around it, a little bit unlucky, to be fair, not to kind of get their chance at the playoffs. They'll be there or thereabouts. Kind of Billy Sinners, Yarm had that kind of late run. Horden have been unlucky for the last 2 seasons. In terms of like kind of playoff games, I think they'll be there. I think then you've got maybe Wrighton, who's looking strong, looked good last season, and had a good pre-season and some good signings. Same with Chester Town, I think. They looked really good last season, in and around the playoffs, towards the back end. And again, recruited well. Seemed to be a tough, good, solid team. But I think, like you just said there, it's wide open this year. So could be a good few surprises in there.
I'm just looking now at the league table in front of us, and it's just literally going from the top 10. I think Alnwick Town, good, strong sides, came up. Belton Terriers always in and around there. Billingham-Synthonia, obviously being the show last week, and Billingham Town, Jimmy Pullen there now, Bolden. Chester Street Town, Chester United also playing the 4G, where for me, when they're on that 4G, sometimes the play was unstoppable. Darton Town recruited well, Eschwin, Bobby Coleman there, FC Hartlepool, strong side. You literally go down even more, and it's just strength after strength. It's going to be really open. But I mean, looking at the quality coming into the Northern League in the past, you might see a couple of teams come in division and really struggle, go back down. But you've seen the likes of Borough Rangers come up and got up again. FC Hartlepool last season, Yarm. And obviously, you're looking now, Alnwick coming in there, Darlow Town, Grangestown, and you expect them 3 sides to come up and stay in there as well, don't you?
Yeah, I watched Darlow in one of the finals towards the back end of the season. I think it was probably the last game I went to. It was quite late on, and they look good. I think they'll be fine in Division 2. Watched a little bit of Alnwick last week. Against North Shields, again played really well, so I don't think them will struggle. Haven't watched Grangetown, don't really know a lot about them, to be honest. But the teams that kind of get promoted seem to do really well again. You mentioned Borough Rangers, kind of a double promotion, wasn't it, for them, and then really unlucky not to be in the playoffs last season as well. So yeah, I think the teams that come up will kind of be cemented into the league quite easily, from the couple that I've seen.
Yeah, and I think we talk about possible title chasers. I mean, standout ones, like you say, they're just the teams that's been up there. But I think even more exciting with the playoffs next season. I can imagine all the playoffs supposed to be pretty much open going them last few weeks of the season with the teams that we're looking at now on the list. And you always see players come and go from certain sides throughout the season, good players coming in and helping the playoff push. And I can say exactly that happening next season, do you think?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's one of them where you can't really be kind of 100% certain on a winner, in the top spot. And I think this time last season, you kind of knew, Blythe would be really competitive and Blue Star would be. I don't think you can really be as 100% certain this time round of who's going to take the top spot and who's going to be not far behind. So yeah, it'll be good to get out and watch some games in that league as well, especially the new teams, and kind of see how they do and how they play.
And again, Touchwood looking at the bottom, same Division 1. I mean, we haven't really seen much over somewhere teams said they're really struggling. I know we had Brandon last year, where it kind of fell apart after the first few weeks and stuff like that. But looking at them, yes, there will probably be 5 or 6 teams down there come the end of the season. But I think it'll be a bit more close than what it was. Do you think over the last kind of few seasons, where there's always been one team that's really just literally had to put a full of young ones out on the pitch to get through the season, and then come the end of the season, the points per game ratio, the other teams stay up. But I can't see just one team being adrift by the end of the season. Do you think?
I don't know. I think kind of the teams that were down there last season doesn't necessarily again mean that they're going to be there this season. We played against West End the other week, and kind of the progression off the pitch has been really good. I spoke to Colin down at the hub, and a few of the lads are always in and around when we're down training or watching games, and I think they've been a team that's been towards the bottom end of the division for the last 2 seasons. I don't think that necessarily will be the case this year because they've kept a good squad and looks like they've been busy pre-season in terms of the work that they've been putting in. Again, I think it's just kind of how teams start and momentum. You get the ones at the bottom of the league if they kind of win the first couple of games and get a little bit of confidence and the ball rolling. You pick up points quite easily, and the games are quite quick and fast at the beginning with a couple of midweekers chucked in. So again, if you can get a bit of momentum behind you, teams will kick on more on this. So nobody really stands out in terms of who's going to be kind of at the bottom or anything. I think it's just kind of how teams start. It's not always about kind of budgets and what money's spent and stuff like that. Some managers have the knack of not having a lot of money but can put together a good squad because of their own connections and building a good dressing room. And I think that's probably more important, or what I've seen from last season at both clubs that I was involved with is probably more important than any kind of budgets and this player's getting that money and stuff like that. That can count for a massive thing. So yeah, again at the bottom, I don't think there's anybody who stands out for me who will kind of be there at the end of the season.
Yeah, kind of looking at as a prediction. I think I'm going to write these down actually. Because it's nice to come back at the end of the season. Yeah. I mean, going back to Division 1, picking one side now, looking at us, who do you think possibly could win the league?
I'll probably go back to what I said earlier. The standouts. It's got to be Redcar, hasn't it?
Yeah. So I'm going to actually, for this one, I'm actually going for Blythe Town. I just think the togetherness that they've got, and I think they'll build on that as well. I think they could be up there, so we'll put them 2 down. The hardest one, Division 2. I mean, what's your shout for Division 2 title?
Division 2. Probably is going to go for. I'm torn between Wrighton and Billy Sinners.
Yeah, I've gone for Billiamson Thorny in that one as well. But I'm still looking at League 2, Division 2 now. Honestly, it's going to be so tight next season. The team that's in there, it's fantastic. And I think that's with people that's watching and people that's in the Facebook group, the excitement, you can feel it now building because it's only a week and a bit away. Yeah. Where obviously pre-season start was just little bits and bobs, but now because we're so close, I think everyone's excited to get out there as well. And I bet obviously with yourself and the coach and stuff at ease, and pre-season's good, but you just want to get your teeth into the points, don't you? It just means a little bit more when you're playing the competitive games.
Oh, definitely. We've kind of treat each game as a normal game. I think everybody does. You've got to, but at the same time, equally giving lads minutes and loading them with minutes to get them back up to speed. But the season's just around the corner, and I think everybody wants to get going now. But the work never seems to stop, does it? Even kind of, we finished our game against Blue Star, and I think we had pre-season pretty much sorted out within a couple of days, and you don't get much time off, and you're back at it. So it'll be good to get back into games again, and where you're putting points on the board, and you've got that little bit more of an incentive rather than just a friendly as such.
Definitely. But no, Dom, it's been a pleasure being on. Like you say, we wish you the very best of luck for yourself in these next season as well.
Great. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Excellent. I just want to say a massive thank you everyone that's been watching as well. Really appreciate support as always. And like we say, the very best of luck with all yourself and your teams for next season. And I hope we all have a good season as well. Back next week for 2 shows. Monday is the Rain and Bell show, Dan Bell coming on. And Thursday we have the Thornaby special with Philip Guinery coming on from Thornaby FC as well. But again, thank you everyone so much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your night as well.